y'all, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video that's gonna be a palettes I almost bought. Palettes that I had my eye on and for one reason or another or a third, I didn't pick them up and I want to tell you why. Why was I this close to picking them up and then change my mind? Let's dive in. This is a video that I've done quite a few times on my channel actually, like palettes that I almost bought and then I didn't, and how come. And I will leave the one that I did the last time down below in case you want to see that, because it's actually been a full year since I did one of these. So I wanted to talk about a couple of palettes that I was either said that I was going to pick up, like I literally came on here on my channel, said it with my full chest, I'm going to pick this up, I'm going to review it, and then I didn't. Or palettes that I was on the fence, or palettes that I was like, ooh, if this had just been a better time, I would have picked this up, or brands that I usually review and for one reason or another, I decided to not do this one. Let's start with some of the more older ones that I was like, ooh, I might review this, but then I decided not to. Actually, you know what we're gonna start with? I have a couple of palettes here from Trixie Cosmetics that I didn't review, even though I was thinking about it. We have this Horse Girl palette, we have the one that was called Nighttime Realness, which was the blue one, and then there's also one that was like almost like a rainbow palette. It was a collab with La Ganja Estranja. I'm sorry, I wish I was more into drag queen shows. I'm not, I'm the worst. All of these technically were palettes that were very my style, my vibe, stuff that I really should be into, but for one reason or another I haven't still tried any eyeshadow from Trixie Cosmetics. And I think the main reason is that Trixie Cosmetics releases eyeshadow palettes at the same time as everybody else. And me, if I am to try out a new brand, a brand that I've never tried out before, because eyeshadows is the thing that I review the most on my channel. It's the thing that I do the most content on. I feel the most confident in reviewing, even though I love reviewing other things as well. When it comes to eyeshadows, I tend to try a lot. If you have seen my video that was up last week, basically me ranking all the palettes that I tried this whole year, it's over 100. I try and review and swatch and wear and try out palettes almost every day. It's just one of the things that I do. Sometimes I take off my makeup, I put it on again. Sometimes I wear 2 different eye looks. Sometimes I wear more makeup before I go to bed just to try stuff out. And it is because I love eyeshadow. So if I am to pop my cherry for a new brand, it needs to either be releasing when a lot of other things are not releasing, which Trixie Cosmetics, they release when other brands are releasing, or it needs to be the absolute perfect color story. Something that really drags me in. Something that makes me go, ooh, I need to own that. I do not own that. I need to have that in my collection. Or it's a brand that I've already tried and I'm already familiar with their formula. I want to keep reviewing them. So when it comes to me reviewing new brands for the first time, so far Trixie Cosmetics has released all of their somewhat interesting palettes at the same time as other brands, and they haven't been perfect, even though I will say the one that's the most perfect I feel is the Horse Girl palette, because I feel like that's just such a well done and unusual neutral palette. And one day I will try Trixie Cosmetics eyeshadows, but it still has not been this year. I did film this look, by the way. I think this look is already live on my channel. If it's live, I will link it down below. If not, it's coming soon. It's one of the two. Next one is the Sailor Moon Part 2 from Colourpop. This is honestly a pretty cute palette, and it says the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon collab number 2. First of all, I'm on the Colourpop PR list. I do tend to get all Colourpop releases, but sometimes they have like an A list and a B list, and I think they have a C list too, that you sometimes you get all releases and you're on the A list and you get everything that's being sent out. That used to be me for a long time. Now I'm more of a B list. I get most of the releases, and this was actually the first release that I didn't get. And when I didn't get it, I was like, oh, maybe I should just go and buy it myself then, because that's what I'll do. I'll go and buy it myself if I want to review it. And I went back and I looked at my new makeup releases when I was talking about this like palette to see like how many people were actually interested in seeing me review, like talk about this. And I also went back and I looked at the views of people who got it in PR to see like, are they getting great views, or like, are people interested in this collection? And let me tell you, the buzz just wasn't really there. And I also will say, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll make a video about this one, and people are like, where's the video, because they're waiting. That's usually what happens with Glamlight. And sometimes it's crickets. Like with this one, not a single person asked me, where's the Sailor Moon review that you were telling me that you were gonna do? I don't think I had a single comment asking me, where's the Sailor Moon? And it just shows me that maybe I'm okay not picking it up. Will say though, that highlighter, the light pinky one, that's the one where I'm like, should I have bought that? Did you like this palette? Did you try it? Did you see any reviews on it? Should I have bought it? I feel kind of happy I didn't. Next one is the Holiday Palettes by Haus Labs. When it comes to these palettes, I was very intrigued in the idea of trying Haus Labs eyeshadows, and just because she had eyeshadows before when she was an Amazon exclusive beauty brand, and then she revamped her entire makeup line, and I'm thinking she probably changed formulas and manufacturer as well, and she went in to be a Sephora brand instead. So I really wanted to try her eyeshadows to just see what they were at, but like these palettes, they're just not exciting color stories to me. They look not it. They're not palettes that I get excited about. These color stories are not, to me, exciting in any way, shape, or form. And I've seen them in real life. And even though I'm like, oh, I really want to, like, because I like a lot of things from Haus Labs and I want to review the eyeshadows, even when I saw them in real life, I'm like, I feel about these like I felt about the Fenty eyeshadows. It's like, I love this brand, I want to love everything from the brand, but these just not, they don't look fun. They don't look fun. I'm really hoping for something fun in the future though. Not these. When I was doing my palette ranking, I realized I had not tried a single palette from Beauty Bay this year, and it's because the two palettes that I think they have released this year, oh, they also released that like deeper palette. That sounds like an X-rated movie. They released something, it wasn't called Deeper. I'm turning into NARS. It was something, it was like deeper tones. It was like a reddish, burgundy, something. Those palettes, for one reason or another, I didn't pick them up. And I know that at least for the one that was like in the plastic packaging, the reason I didn't pick it up is because it just was released at a time when everybody was releasing palettes. And I was like, no more, I can't take it. I turned into that 90s song. No more, I can't take it. Like, I could not take it. The deeper, I have now named that palette the Deeper palette. I'm about to get myself demonetized. Even though I thought it was cute, I was not in the mood to review another neutral palette at that point. And again, I was like, just escaping the back door, saving myself another palette to review. The palette that was released around, I want to say springtime, it was called Retro Love, and it was just something about the palette. I don't know why, because technically now when I look at the palette, I do think the color story is nice, but I think the thing that made me go like, I don't know, is that all the shades are light or mid-tone except a dark brown and a black. And me personally, I love mixing pastels with brights and pastels with like dark mattes, but I don't only want to be able to deepen them up with the black or brown. That's not my journey. So I feel like with me, with that color story, there was something that just wasn't 100% there. I wasn't like jamming 100% with the color story. So I just, again, another palette that I didn't need to review. But I love the Beauty Bay brand, and I really hope they release something next year that I feel super passionate about, that I can buy, because I really like their formula. They're an affordable brand. They're based out of the UK. Like, what's not to love? A lot of things. These palettes. One palette that I almost felt, I don't want to say bad, but when I saw my friends review this palette and they were like, this is so amazing, I felt a little like, I had a little FOMO moment. And this is from Wicked Widow Beauty, and this is a Resurrection palette. So I didn't pick this one up because this was a rainbow palette with special shades. But then my friend Heather Austin said that this was her favorite rainbow palette ever, and listen, my ears perked up. They perked up. They turned into Dumbo ears. I'm like, what are you saying? What are you saying, bestie? Are you telling me I need to buy it? Because what I'm hearing is I need to buy it. Since then, I have actually been in contact with Wicked Widow Beauty. They have been in contact with me and asked me if they could send me some future releases. And I will say, this Resurrection palette, I'm having a little bit of FOMO because I'm like, I didn't pick it up because I thought it was going to be just a rainbow palette, but now I'm like, is this is this an indie brand that I'm sleeping on? I feel like maybe like with Ensley Rain, I'm wearing the new Ensley Rain palette on my eyes today, which was also, let's talk about that one next, which also a brand where I'm like, am I sleeping on this brand? And I was. And now I'm thinking that maybe Wicked Widow Beauty is the same. Maybe I'm sleeping on that brand too. Let's talk about the one where I'm like, I didn't pick it up, and this is the Twisted Tea Party. This is from Ensley Rain Cosmetics. I love Ensley Rain Cosmetics. I have 3 palettes from the brand so far. I think the quality is just so great. But I didn't pick this one up because I was like, it's a little bright. There were so many palettes that were released at the exact same time there during late fall. It was just a bombardment, and as a makeup reviewer, I was just like trying to avoid them. It was like turning into one of those video games where you're like, hey, dodging all the palettes coming in. And if I could talk myself out of any release for any reason whatsoever, I was. So this palette, the reason why I didn't pick this one up was just there was too many things. But now when I look at this and I look at the swatches, it is really beautiful. It really is. But I was like, maybe I can just skip this one. Maybe I can just skip this one. Do I have regrets? Minor. But I think like as an indie brand, it does make sense to follow the seasons of like makeup, to be like releasing stuff when everybody else is releasing stuff. Like it makes sense. Like I get it. But also I have to say that I think there is also a slight edge to not releasing your palette as a indie brand when everybody else is releasing their palette, because as a reviewer, it's hard sometimes to keep up. And if it's just like spread a little thinner across the year. But again, I'm speaking from experience of a makeup reviewer. But again, everybody has their thing. The palette is beautiful. I have slight regrets, but like I was close. I was like, do I need this? Do I need this? Maybe. And then I ended up not buying it. Should I have? I don't know. One thing that I said that I'm like, oh, I might review this, but then I was like, no. This was the holiday collection from Pat McGrath. I saw these in real life, and you know what? They're not ugly, but they're also not super special. Where did I see this in real life? Not at Sephora. Or is it just that I've seen so many reviews of them that I now feel like I know them? Am I having a parasocial relationship with the Pat McGrath holiday collection? The more I've seen of these, the less intrigued I am. There is one palette that seems to have like that dark purple and like a couple of shimmers, but it's like I wasn't blown away enough by the 5 pans that I bought from the Star Wars collection to just be diving into buying even more 5 pans in color stories that I'm just feeling meh about. So even though for my channel it would probably have been amazing for me to review the Pat McGrath holiday collection because that's the thing that people are looking for online, I just wasn't inspired. Again, I backed out the back door and I just pretended I never said I was going to review it. Did you remember that? I pretend it didn't happen. Here's something that I said I was going to review until I saw it had pressed glitters, and this is from Kimchi Chic. Can I say Kimchi Chic is one of those brands that people say they want me to review it, but every time they release something, it's so easy for me to find reasons to not try it. Usually it's because the palette is either super big and it has a lot of redundant shades, or it has pressed glitters in them. And I have a rule. That, like I said, if I can talk myself out of buying a palette from a brand I've never tried, pressed glitters is one of those where I'm like, no, I'm not going to try a brand for the first time if it has pressed glitters. Unless the color story is genius. With this palette, there was the Cherry Cheek one. Cherry Cheek? Am I saying this correctly? Probably not. It's really pretty, but I think the only 2 shimmer shades that are in there are 2 pressed glitters. And again, I love me a good all matte palette, but the more I looked at it, the more I'm like, I don't know. Do you love this brand? Please tell me. I feel like it's one of those brands. I see it all the time at Trend Mood, but I never see anyone using it on YouTube. Is it like a TikTok brand? Who's reviewing it? Please tell me. Okay, this is something that I definitely said I was going to review. This was released this summer. This was the Fall Romance. It says it's just in time for holiday. Was this not released this summer? No, that was the other palette, the Cosmos palette. Okay, so this one maybe was released when I went on some other kind of holiday then? I don't know. I know that this one was released as I was going somewhere. Where was I going? Not sure. Maybe to Disney? I have no idea. But I wanted to try this one and I said I was going to review it and then I didn't. Yeah, probably Disney. I came back from my vacation and I think I saw one thumbnail of a friend reviewing this and they were basically having this expression. And that was it. That took me out. I was like, no. That expression talked me out of this palette and saved me some money. I've heard mixed reviews of this one since, so I'm kind of glad I didn't buy it. But again, it's one of those palettes. No one has asked me, where's your review? Nobody seems to care. One palette that I almost talked myself into after seeing people like, have you done that? When you see people do beautiful looks and you're like, wait, do I need that? And that is the Groundworks palette by Danessa Myricks. There is nothing in this palette that really drags me in. But I have seen so many beautiful neutral looks. And I'm not even inspired by neutral looks, but I've seen so many beautiful neutral looks and people are tagging this palette and I'm like, wait, is this the one? Will this be the chosen one? The one that brings me over to the dark side? I was kind of hoping that I was going to be like a neutral girly, I guess. And I saw this in store and I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy this one because everybody's doing so pretty looks. And I looked at it, I'm like, I could do those looks with what I have at home. No. But she almost got me. I saw all of these looks and I was like, I could be this girl. I could with the things I have at home. You know, I feel like I'm that mom. No, we have neutrals at home. Let's finally talk about the fact that I didn't buy any of the Melt holiday palettes this year. And honestly, I've even seen them in store and they look really pretty. And it's not that I'm like, again, I'm having this on and off relationship with Melt where I used to love Melt. I used to worship the ground they like walked on. I loved everything they did. I thought everything they did was so good. And it's not that I don't think that anymore. I feel like with time, I've just realized that like other indie brands have just surpassed them and they're not as interesting anymore. And I was very close at picking up the Halloween Town. It was super cute and I even more liked the Christmas Town palette that had the matte white. I saw that one in store when I was at Sephora in Vegas and it was super cute and part of me is like, ooh, I would have liked that one, but yeah, I didn't pick them up because I didn't love the quality of the Melt Electric palette. I felt like they changed the quality and I did since then buy the Melt collaboration with Bailey Sarian and I felt like that was the old matte formula, but that was also an all matte palette. So I don't know, I would love to hear your thoughts about those holiday palettes from Melt. Did you miss them on my channel? Did you want me to review them? Because I feel like I've been reviewing Melt's holiday releases since way back. I've been reviewing them every year since the Muerte en Vida palette and I don't know. I fell out of love with Melt this year and I fell out of love so hard that I didn't even pick up the holiday release. Even though that's normally the holiday release that I'm the most intrigued by, I just didn't. And I honestly, looking back at it, I don't even know like if I'm like upset about it. I feel like I'm okay with it. I feel like I am. I would love to hear your thoughts. Is there anything that you initially when you saw it, you were like, yeah, I might like that. I might pick that up. And then either you talked yourself out of it or maybe reviewers talked yourself out of it or maybe you just kind of forgot about it. Because there was a couple of things when I went through this, I'm like, kind of forgot you existed. Like that Sailor Moon collab. I don't even know like when that happened. Was that this summer? I don't know because I kind of forgot she existed. I hope you're having an amazing, amazing day. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave and I will see you really, really soon in a new video. Bye!